A new witness has come forward for Jeremy Corbell's Jellyfish UFO video. That's right. He saw the video about 6 years ago, originally on the same base in Iraq where this video was recorded. And he actually has quite a few details, some that kind of contradict Jeremy Corbell's story. But let's dive into that because there's even more drama, I guess, if you will, because the witness's story started to change as well. But I think there's some good reasons for that, potentially. I don't know. We'll see what y'all think. Anyway, let's dive into this video. We've got a lot to look at. I'm going to do a little refresher of the Jellyfish UFO video for those who haven't seen it. And then again, we're going to look at a lot of different sort of little clips and stuff of this witness. He did a podcast. I've got some clips of that. And so let's just clear this up, y'all. See what's going on with this. I'm sure you've been watching all the different GIFs and shares and everything about the Jellyfish UFO video. Yeah, let's jump in, y'all. If you're new to the channel and you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, y'all. We put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, of course, hit that like button, y'all. That really helps out the video. So thank y'all so much for all the support when you do that. And, of course, comment down below what you think of this. Let's dive in. All right, it's about to get a little meta here. This is what I like to call PIP, Patrick and Patrick, right here. So we're going to watch a little bit of the original video that I made. I'll put a link in the description if you want to catch up with that video first before you watch this, but it's not really necessary entirely. All right, let's just start to get ourselves a little refresher here. It's a little weird watching myself, not going to lie.
It's in thermal. It was filmed on a weapons platform. You see that there's a dog there. You see the animals are black. I'm assuming this is black hot. You see the object just went to white, and you'll see it going from white to black, white to black. And that's basically showing the heat differential. So it's going like hot and cold, hot and cold. The problem was the optics platform was jammed. These individuals who target with these platforms, they can shoot out an Al-Qaeda tire at 27 miles away, but not being able to lock it was one of the first signs that something's weird. I was able to find direct eyewitnesses and corroborate that this event did happen. When individuals would target in on it with the optics, the way it was described, each of these hanging things, they were stiff, like they weren't moving. They had geometric form, like scales. What was said to me is scales, like an armor. There were also people with night vision who were out and they were tasked to go look for it. Couldn't see it on the night vision. Only in the thermal spectrum could it be seen. But anything that looks like that appears to have a payload, that's a big deal. It could be dangerous, so these are high priority. But what happened is there were a couple other nations involved, and the feeds were shut, just shut immediately. So that put me on high alert too. Why is it completely being shut down? But that's not all it did. It goes out over a body of water. I'm told it stops on a dime, descends into the water, stiff into the water.
Okay, so that's important to remember, that it goes stiff into the water. I'm going to reference that here in just a minute. Remember that. He's saying that it goes stiff into the water, and then that it, well, let's continue.
And for 17 minutes, nothing. And boom, this thing comes up out of the water and shoots off at 45 degrees, just like that. It looks very much like what I've heard that has made incursions into nuclear facilities, because I know.
So again, if you want to watch the full video that I made here, go check it out. I'll put a link in the description. But let's kind of move on from that real quick. So again, remember that part that it goes into the water stiff. That's what Jeremy Corbell is stating here. It goes into the water stiff. 17 minutes later, that's also an important number. It comes out at a 45-degree angle and shoots off fast. Okay? So that's what his story is surrounding this, right? Now, after this video premieres on TMZ, somebody decides to go on News Nation because they did a video on it, and he comments that he was at this base and he knows a little bit more. So they get a hold of him. Who's the first person to actually get a hold of him? To be fair, it's Stephen Greenstreet. He reaches out to him and gets an interview. Now, Stephen Greenstreet didn't just find the guy, right? He did comment, and Stephen Greenstreet reached out and got him, got a little interview with him. And it was actually a pretty good tweet. I mean, it had a lot of information in there. And basically, it's this guy. Here, I'm going to show you guys real quick. It's this guy right here, okay? His name is Michael Sinkowski. I think it's Sinkowski. That's what I would say. And he basically refuted a few different things, and we're going to go over that, specifically the water part. He's saying that he just did not see that. So I've got video of him talking about exactly what he saw, so we're going to jump into that. Now, this is a tweet that he sent out. You can see January 12th. This morning I spoke with a former team member who was with me in Iraq back in 2018. They wish to stay anonymous, but they confirmed that we actually had multiple recordings of the Jellyfish UAP with different durations. That is also important to remember. Okay, let's get to the very first video interview that he did, on-camera interview that he did with News Nation after he had spoken to Stephen Greenstreet, mind you. Okay, so just remember that. So he comes out and tells Stephen Greenstreet, because he wants to correct the story, right, about the original Jellyfish story, then goes on News Nation, and let's see what he says.
It is the video of an unidentified object that is sparking debate and curiosity. No one can say for sure what exactly this is, and now for the first time, we're hearing from a Marine veteran who says he served on the base where the video was taken in Iraq.
Did you think when you watched it for the first time that, like, it could be, non-human?
It crossed my mind because the theories that we had, like I said, didn't fully explain it.
Michael Sinkowski was an intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance tactical controller at the base in Iraq. He says the video was captured in 2017 and shown to him by colleagues when he arrived in 2018. Marines nicknamed the object the Spaghetti Monster.
When they started seeing it on the camera, they were watching it to make sure that it wasn't a threat. And I believe some of the Marines were tasked to try to find it on night vision, and they were looking for it with their other sensors and everything else that we had. And they couldn't find it, so they kept an eye out, but it wasn't like we were scrambling to our defensive positions or anything like that. It was just a big unknown.
Sinkowski says the video was captured by an aerostat, which is a big balloon that looks like a blimp over the base. It had cameras on it to look out for threats. Sinkowski says his colleagues tracked the object as it traveled by the base and out over Lake Habaniya in Anbar Province, Iraq.
Did you see the full 17 minutes?
Yes.
And so what else is there in the video that we haven't seen?
Not a whole lot. All I can say about that is towards the end, it seemingly just continued off into the distance, and it got smaller and smaller, whether that's because the sensor was zooming out or it was moving off into the distance, but it got seemingly far enough away to where they couldn't see it anymore, whether it dropped into the water or it just continued over the lake, because there's a lake next door of the base that we were at. But at no point towards the end of the video did it where you could see it drop into the water and then shoot off into the sky like there had been some claims. And it didn't seem to be posturing to threaten us at all, so it wasn't like we needed to take immediate action against it. So yeah, I think it was handled in the best way possible. Like I said, it kind of just ended up being kind of like the ghost story of the base.
And we were able to confirm that Marine is who he says he is. As for the Pentagon, we've been reaching out to them.
So, yeah, there is no official statement from the Pentagon. They're just say they're looking into it. But if you notice, again, so his story is basically that the video he saw, which is 17 minutes long, mind you, and we're going to dig into that more because it's actually not one continuous video that he saw. Okay? He saw kind of multiple videos that were 17 minutes in length together. right? And the reason there's different videos, it's not that people captured that there were different cameras, is that the way that this system works on the base is that it sends out a feed, and you can go on your computer and type in a certain address, right, IP address or something, and you get that feed, and then you can like screen record it. And I guess a lot of military members had screen recorded that event, so they had their own versions of it, right? Different links whenever they started and stopped it, right? And according to Jeremy Corbell, right, he's saying there's an additional video where it does show it going into the water and coming out. Now, what's interesting is that he says that it goes in the water for 17 minutes. And how long is the video that the witness says that he saw, right? All totaling together, 17 minutes. Isn't that odd? Do you think that maybe just some information got mixed up on the base, right? Because this became a story. Basically, the way it was is that anyone who would come to the base, this is the way the witness explained it, right, who was on the base. That's why he was shown the video. Anyone new that would come, they'd be like, oh, you got to check out this video, man. You know, it's a ghost story of the base. Like, that seems totally reasonable, right? Logical. Maybe you've been in that position with a particular job or something. They're like, hey, you got to see this thing. Or they tell you a story about that place, you know, and you're new there, right? So they want to let you know about some crazy story that happened. And of course, this kind of story would spread and be kind of crazy because it never happened again. This is the only time it happened at that base that he knows of. And this is what they spoke of. They just kind of talk about it, you know, at the mess hall, different, right? Just kind of shoot the shit about it, pardon my language, right? About this video. So that's why there's different feeds, but it's the same video, right? It was the same feed, but people recorded different versions. But I just think some of those details about 17 minutes. And again, he's saying that Jeremy Corbell saying it went stiff into the water. And I think he uses that terminology for a specific reason. I'll tell y'all in just a second. So this is after the interview that he does on News Nation. Stephen Greenstreet is like, you know, wait, what? You know, because basically what happens is, and it is true, the witness tells Stephen Greenstreet one thing, then goes on the news and says another thing after he speaks to Jeremy Corbell. Now, take that as you will. Maybe he's just being informed of new information, but his story does change. And so Stephen Greenstreet wants to find out, like, what do you mean? What happened? Right? He says, it never happened according to the video I saw. I heard through hearsay. There may be an even longer version of the video, so I can't speak to that. I'd love to see it, though, if that is the case. And then Stephen Greenstreet asked him, who did you hear that from? Oh, sorry. You know what? Let me show this to you guys right here. It never happened according to this. Okay. And Stephen Greenstreet says, who did you... Here's the tweet, right? So someone from the original team during turnover when I first got to the base. They also said they seen it go into the water, but at that time, I didn't really think much about any of it. There are various ways to record the feed, so it's possible I had a shorter version. You seem to be contradicting yourself. In this tweet, you say you heard about the longer version from someone from the original team, but just a few hours later, you say you heard about the longer version from Jeremy Corbell. Care to explain? So right here, right, because Stephen Greenstreet's responding to this. Sorry for the confusion. I heard about the longer version from Jeremy Corbell, who has an anonymous source who might have been a firsthand witness. That's why I say hearsay. I explained that recording the feed is pretty easy, and that's when I realized there could be others. Right? So that is interesting. So Corbell is saying he has a firsthand witness who saw this thing with his own eyes. Right? Who's, I guess, saying, or at least saw the video that it goes into the water. I don't know. If there's only one feed of this, and this guy saw it, right, and they all saw it at the base, and they see it just fade off into the distance, how do they have this other video that it goes into the water? Was there another camera system? That would be the only explanation. And, of course, you know, Michael kind of gets, I guess, a little frustrated with Stephen Greenstreet. What do you want from me? The last time I saw this video was about 6 years ago. Sorry if the details are a little fuzzy. And, honestly, I can understand that from him. Let's be real. Let's cut him a little bit of a break. So anyway, right, little confusion. So Michael Sinkowski goes on a podcast, Artisan Tony, and he talks with Mick West, Stephen Greenstreet, these other guys here. And to be honest with you, it was a great discussion. If I'm being honest, it was a great discussion, but I've picked out a few different points that I think are worth watching. I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check out the full thing if you want. The full thing is actually quite interesting, but it just can't play all that right here, right? So these are the parts that I find interesting. Let's listen to this.
We're trying to ask, like, if there is a longer video, what do you think it shows? Meaning, is it, does the object come back? Based on what you've heard, does it come back? Is it, I mean, if it's just a straight line. If it's at the video, if at the end of the current video that you saw, it's mostly gone and disappeared and it's super small, what else could there be? Is it just, does it continue moving?
It could have.
Yeah, I'm just curious what that could show in a longer video. If it continued the way it is, what could it potentially show?
Could it be the reason they're not showing the second video is because they shot it down and they don't want to show that part?
Did you shoot it down, Michael? Did you hear they shot it down?
I would have heard if they did, but no, I don't recall that ever happening. As far as I know, after the video cuts out, it's eventually they lose it and that was it. And like I was saying before too, when I was first showing this, I think one of the guys from the original team just mentioned something kind of like almost in passing, like he was just kind of standing off over wherever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know it eventually kind of fell into the water," and that was it. And that's where I get the like, yeah, it's a possibility that it did go into the water.
So he's saying a guy that was with him behind him, kind of out of earshot, says, right? Let's listen to that again. What exactly he says.
Was it? And that's where I get the like forever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know something," kind of like almost in passing, like he was just kind of standing off over wherever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know it eventually kind of fell into the water," and that was it.
It eventually kind of fell into the water. All right, and he then clarifies in this clip that later, more in this, that person was part of the original team that saw this thing, right? So do you think Jeremy Corbell maybe got confused by this? Someone's kind of playing with him, wanted to make this more a bigger deal than it was to him, you know what I mean? Because it did have quite a lore on the base, right? So I don't know. Maybe some of those details just get kind of confusing, but it is interesting how it overlaps. So that's why Jeremy Corbell is, in my opinion, right at the beginning, when I showed you all the video, that's why in my opinion, he's clear to state it went stiff into the water, right? Let's listen to that again.
And stops on a dime, descends into the water, stiff into the water.
Stiff into the water. I think that he wants to make that clear so that it's not like balloons or something, right? And again, he says that the eyewitnesses saw the bottom part stiff, right? He definitely wants to make that clear. But, the way Michael says it here, right, like it just kind of fell into the water. Right, so that's interesting, which may lead to be balloons, which is a leading theory that's out there. But I've got some thoughts on that myself, right? Like if it's balloons, like why would night vision pick it up? And why would the camera be able to lock onto it? This like multi-million-dollar camera system can't lock onto balloons? What are we doing? Why do we even have this system? Right? Because even the debunkers are saying it's not something on the camera lens, on the housing. That theory is out the window. Even a lot of skeptics or people who are trying to figure out what the video is, which I commend them for doing, y'all. They're doing a lot of work. I don't know why anybody would be mad at that. You don't have to agree with their final outcome, but if they do a lot of research and analysis on it, just use the data yourself. Come to your own conclusion. I don't know why people get so mad at people like looking into this and trying to figure out what it is. They're allowed to have their own conclusions on what it is. Just like you're allowed to conclude you think it's aliens, they're allowed to conclude it's not aliens. Right? They can do whatever they want. It's their worldview. It's their life, right? I don't know. This idea of being mad at people for not thinking it's the same thing you think it is beyond me. I don't understand that. And that goes for skeptics as well, who are looking at believers like, how can you believe that? What's wrong? Who cares? Let them believe what do you care? What do you care? Let people just think what they want. I don't get it. Again, it's such a huge thing. Let people make their own decision, their own conclusion. So anyway, yeah, this whole idea of this balloons, I just don't see that. And that is a leading theory. I've got some more on that here in a minute. I just don't see that. Again, how could it not lock on to this balloons? Again, our multi-million-dollar system, to help protect us, to protect these bases. I mean, that's what that's for. To catch drones that are coming weekly, right? Dropping payloads, potentially, right? They're looking for those sort of things, these sort of suicide drones. But it can't pick up balloons. That seems so far-fetched to me that the capability of that system can't do that, right? And this is 2017. They're saying October-ish. That's what this witness is saying. He got there in 2018, but he was told at that time that it was somewhere around October 2017 that this incident took place. But anyway, it's just, quite interesting. I don't know. So, again, I'm not saying aliens. I don't know, but that video is interesting, man. And again, I should have said this at the beginning. I've got the raw video footage. We're going to take a look at it to round out this video that Jeremy Corbell put up. Well, the raw. He put up the full footage all by itself that we're going to look at. It's screen recorded, so it's not the original file, raw file. But again, I'll put a link to that, and it's just the video. Here's another interesting point. Let's let him explain just the story, right, as a whole here. Kind of end with that.
My experience started with this specifically in January of 2018. That's when I first arrived to Iraq, and I was doing turnover with the team that we were replacing at the time, and there's one of the guys from the team that had shown me that video originally. And thinking back, I thought it was just one video, but last time I saw this video was 6 years ago.
I just think that, look, there is a lot of kind of discrepancies in his story between Stephen Greenstreet, News Nation, then he talks to Corbell, then this, and he kind of, I wouldn't say so much he's changing. I would just say he's updating. Because I can totally relate to something that happened a long time ago, and the more you start to think about it, your brain starts to bring forward more memories about it. That does happen. And you talk to certain people, and they jog a memory. Oh, yeah, you know what? So I don't, honestly, for me, this is everyone's personal decision, but for me, I don't see any issue with this guy sort of updating his story, based upon new information. To be frank, I really don't. I think memory actually works that way. And to be honest, I find that more believable in him. Right? Than someone who has all the details remembered and then doesn't change it from 6 years ago. Come on, give me a break. That seems a little too whatever, right? Anytime you hear someone go, oh, well, the story hasn't changed in 30 years. That doesn't feel real then, a little bit. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? There's something to that, right? Like your memory kind of whatever. So anyway, let's continue with Michael. Sorry.
I remember now that there was multiple recordings of different lengths. The whole thing that I remember, or that of the portion that I seen, was about 17 minutes long, and it is of that Jellyfish UAP that has been labeled as in the media. We called it the spaghetti monster among the Marines on the base, and it was just, when they were showing me, it was just this kind of a cool story of something weird that happened. Everybody had their own different theories on what it could be, but nothing that could totally explain the phenomenon. And we would show people that would come into the COC the video, and they would think it's super weird and come up with their own theories. And nobody really thought anything further into it because we never saw anything like that ever again. And I never thought I'd actually see that video ever again after I left my deployment. I told a few people about it once I got home, but obviously I didn't have the video or any of the recordings to back up my story. So people probably thought I was, you know, just making up BS or something. I don't know. But now that I've seen the video, and a few of my buddies have seen, they sent it to me a few days ago, and they were asking me, I was like, oh, is this what you saw? And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's the exact like recording, you know, or a clip of it that I saw in country. And some of the videos that I seen circulating, there were some claims that didn't line up with the longer recordings that I initially saw. And so I jumped into the YouTube comments in some of these videos and was clearing a few things up. And then I was getting a lot of questions, and then people were seeing my comments, and then all of a sudden I started getting all of these interview requests and things like that. So I wasn't even there for the event itself. I'm not a primary witness. I'm just somebody that saw the video a few months afterwards. The one of the longer versions that hasn't been released yet. I talked this morning with an old teammate of mine, and he verified that there was also additional longer recordings or of recordings of various lengths as well. But the claims that one of the videos, yeah, you could see the object fall into the water and then shoot off into the sky. From what I've seen in the videos that I had access to, I never saw that. So I just wanted to make that clear. Not to say that there's a clip that is out there that doesn't exist. You know, it is possible. Just from what I've seen, I didn't see that at all. And I think there was also a claim that it was recorded by an advanced weapon system or an advanced drone or something like that, which was also not the case from my understanding. And I've talked to the team that was there. It was recorded by the aerostat that was tethered to our base, called the PTDS. The PTDS, I think, is the acronym for it. A persistent threat detection system. And so we had, on all of our workstations, we had, there's a media player called VLC, which I think anybody can download it. And you had the option to tune into a stream. You just have to plug in an IP address that's broadcasting a stream, so we could, you know, pull up all these live feeds. And that's how this was recorded by multiple people on multiple workstations while this was going on. They would tune into the feed, the PTDS feed while this thing was going on, and they all recorded various lengths, various videos of this thing. And yeah, and that's about it. I mean, I'm no UAP expert by any means. I can't say exactly what it is or what it's not. I have my theories, but that's about it. I don't think there's enough information out there for anybody to definitively say what this is.
I agree with him there. And to be honest with you, he really holds his own in this interview. I'll give it to Michael. He feels no pressure to say it's one way or the other, right? Mick West goes into this really great explanation, and he shows this thing from Metabunk, like this called SatRec or something, where he can recreate a scene, and it's quite impressive with the analysis and data, to be honest with you. And even Michael says the same thing, like, wow, Mick, this is like super impressive, because it shows the line of travel and everything, you know. And yeah, it's just, he sticks to his gun, like he's, you know, because Mick West kind of suggests he thinks it's balloons. Again, he's not definitively saying that, but he suggests that. And Michael's just like, I don't know, you know, could be, but maybe not. Could be aliens. I don't know. Like, he doesn't want to like stick. He just doesn't have enough information. I think that's a fair answer. That's kind of where I'm at. Just not enough information. Now, again, if Jeremy Corbell can provide this witness and the video that shows it going in the water, then maybe something can change, right? So, and again, they show two videos in the original, 2B series or whatever, the TMZ series. So if you watch that first video that I made, again, the link's in the description, you'll see that they show two Jellyfish UFO videos, right? And the other one's really grainy and it's far away. And Michael says that video is actually first. That was where it came in over land, right, far away, went by the base, and then faded out. That's what he saw, right? So he saw it fade in, get closer, right, to the base, and then fade out. That's what the video shows that he saw. And he's saying the other video is part of it coming in, not And it actually could be even an entirely different object, not even the same one. It could be a separate incident. So that's also interesting. Who knows? I mean, it's just, honestly, there's a lot of information we just don't know about this. So I think to definitively say it's balloons or camera smudge or and that's it, you're an idiot, doesn't seem intellectually honest to me. Now, to say it's aliens or whatever, that is also probably not the best way to go, right? We don't know. We don't know. Don't have enough information on this, unfortunately, y'all. But to be fair, everyone is pretty much in agreement, all the experts on either side, right, skeptics, believers, it's not a camera smudge. It's not something on the housing of the camera. It is an object in space and time right there that's moving along, right? Even Mick West is admitting that, okay? Again, he thinks it's balloons, cluster of balloons of this thing. So let's take a look at Mick West explaining just a little bit about this, okay? So just... this is an amazing analysis. I'll put a link to it if you want to watch it of this. Again, whether or not you agree with it, that's up to you. But it is a good analysis of this object and how it moved through space and time. And he was able to geolocate it and satellite maps. And I mean, it's amazing.
Now, the object does not move much. It looks very static, but that's expected for something over 1,000 feet in the air that's not rising or falling. It just moves with the air. So there's no turbulent forces acting on it that would make it move around. In the video, we briefly see a flag fluttering in the wind. Isolating it, we can see that it is blowing to the left, to the west, in the same direction the object is traveling, consistent with that object being a balloon. Some people noted that the object seems to get hotter and colder, darker and lighter in the infrared. But if you look at the background, you'll see that that changes in sync with the object, which means it's just the camera adjusting the exposure and not actually a temperature change. There are also reports that it was only visible to the thermal sensor and was not visible to the naked eye, but then it was dark and over 1,000 feet up, so that's hardly surprising.
That's interesting that Mick West says that, right? Because they talk about it right there. You can see real quick. You see those two people right there, right? It's flying right over them.
Only visible to the thermal sensor and was not visible to the naked eye, but then it was dark. And
see how it just flies right over them. Mick West thinks it's about 1,000 feet up from what he can calculate. And again, it just flies right over people. I mean, if it's dark, silent, you don't see some balloons fly over you. I mean, yeah, I guess that's possible, right? 1,000 feet, that's about 3 football fields above you. That's pretty high. But I feel like, I don't know, depending on what color they are, you'd see this big batch of balloons, especially if it's anything like this picture that Mick West showed, right? I feel like you would see that fly over even at night because there's still lights on the base, but maybe that blinds you and you can't see up in the sky. I mean, yes, is that possible? Yes, 100%. Listen, what would be the best thing to do, really? Let's be real, would be to film clusters of balloon with this same camera and system, right? And see what happens. See what it looks like. Does it look the same? Does it look different? I mean, that's it right there. So does someone have a thermal camera? Maybe they can just film something similar here, locally, get some balloons, put it up in the air, get a thermal camera, let's film it, see what it looks like. At least have some sort of reference to compare it to. And honestly, this system would be the best one to compare it to, would be this system. So I just think that would just give us such a clear indication. I mean, if it looks pretty much identical, okay, that's balloon. But if it looks different, like pretty different, it's like, okay, that's not balloons, dude. What is this thing? So I think that, I mean, we can't, if someone can't spend the money to do that experiment, with all this going on, we can't put a little bit of effort into that, someone out there. I mean, that's not what Veta does. I know people, Jeremy Corbell couldn't do that. I don't know why, before we get into this video, okay, again, this is the look right here, Jellyfish UAP video number 1. So maybe Jeremy Corbell is going to release more full footage, 2 minutes. We're going to watch this. And I tell you what, as it's playing, I'll talk over it. But I muted the sound because it's just like this, like there's no sound, like it's the weirdest thing. Again, he's recording some sort of screen That's why it's at an angle. But let's give it a watch, and I'll kind of just tell you a few things. Anyway, look, to me, like in the TMZ documentary, like, why didn't they have any analysis in that episode where they showed the jellyfish? They didn't, analyze the video and show experts, like, what do they think of this video? They just showed the video, and Jeremy told the story about it. But they didn't analyze. Why wouldn't they have it analyzed and show that in the documentary, right? Have experts sort of debunk some of these theories, right? Camera smut, bird poop, balloon, right? Go out and test balloons with a similar camera system. TMZ couldn't do that. They're camera experts, right? That's all they do with cameras. They couldn't do that and then show that experiment in the film, right? In the documentary. I don't know. That would have been cool to add to this, right? I think if people are going to start showing UFO videos in documentaries and this and that, also have the part where it's analyzed and you show us those results, at least some sort of analysis. I mean, something, right? But they didn't do that. And maybe that's Jeremy Corbell's strategy, is to release it out and let people just go to town on it and analyze, because he knows people like Mick West and other people are going to go frame by frame and figure this thing out. Maybe that's what he's looking for, and that helps him decide, right? And it's free. You don't have to pay for it. He can just sit back and take all the information in. Witnesses come forward, this come forward. So maybe that is a strategy. I don't know. If it is, it's kind of smart. I could see that. It saves you a lot of money. But then again, you're not really in charge of those independent analysis, right? I mean, letting the internet at it. But it would have added some validity in the documentary when people watched it, that there was this analysis done and it can confirm a few things or unconfirm, right? Like, it's not a smudge. We definitely know that. It's not that, it's not balloons. Look at this. We film balloons with the same camera system, and this is what it looks like, and it can clearly pick up this and clearly pick up that, blah, 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 blah. And it does the same thing when we adjust a contrast, whatever. But they didn't do any of that. So, anyway, there's a full video. Again, I'll put links to all that in the description. I'm just saying, it's quite interesting. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? There's a lot of information. There's more in this I didn't even cover, to be honest with you, about it. For instance, like the two videos they show in the TMZ thing, right? The other one, it has a different interface where it's green and that doesn't match up, almost like it was a different camera system that filmed it, a different event that they kind of edited together to make it look like the same one. So I don't know what's going on. All I know is Jeremy Corbell saying there's a video of it going into the water, staying there 17 minutes, shooting out at a 45-degree angle out of there. It goes into the water stiff. You can clearly see that, right? There's a first-hand witness that could see it, that had, scaly, it had armor, right? All of that stuff. That's what we need. But again, some of this is odd, right? Why is Michael saying his video is 17 minutes and Jeremy Corbell saying it goes into the water for 17 minutes? I just think those are odd details that matches up perfectly, right? That's weird to me. Why is everybody saying 17 minutes? I don't know. And there was even some confusion of when this took place. Jeremy Corbell was saying 2018, right? And Michael was saying, no, it's 2017. I saw it in 2018, but the event took place in 2017, right? I don't know. It's a little bit off. It is 6 years ago. I don't know. I feel like I was a part of that team that filmed this and knew it. I would remember when more or less it took place. But again, everyone's memory works differently, so who knows? Clearly, there's more people that saw this, right? They showed this to a lot of new people that would come to the base, so I'm hoping more people will come out and speak about this. If you're one of those people watching this right now, feel free. Put it down in the comments. Please do not reach out to me privately. I do not take correspondence like that. I don't want to know any secrets. Anything you're willing to say to me, you'll say publicly. Just put it down in the comments. But it is interesting, y'all. I just don't know what to make of this. Honestly, I still feel the same way, if I'm being honest. Yeah, we need more info. I definitely want more info now. Hearing from someone who was, at that base, and they saw it 6 years ago, right? And let's be real. Michael is exactly the type of source that Jeremy Corbell would have. Just like that. Be a guy just like that. who's anonymous, just like that. I'm sure Jeremy has other sources that are higher up, but a lot of his sources are just gentlemen like Michael. Which, to be fair, I found him quite credible. You know, I don't think he's lying or deceiving. Some people were attacking him on Twitter like, you're a liar and you're this and you're that. And you're, my God, holy cow. Like, if I was that guy, I mean, I would just shut up. Again, I just feel like he's updating a story, not so much changing it. I do think your memory can be like that. If you're trying to recall something from the past, as you get more information, your memory starts to become more clear of that. So I think that's all that's happening. Anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think in the description. Y'all told me not to apologize for long videos, so I'm not going to. There you go. Take it. It's a long one. Yes, if you noticed, I did wear the same sweater from the other Jellyfish video. I forgot to mention that. I did that on purpose. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed this video. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, y'all. That really helps us out. Of course, hit that like button. Comment down below. I cannot wait to read the comments. This should be interesting. And let's not bother Mike on Twitter. I'm going to put a link to his Twitter so you can learn more about him. But let's, he's getting a lot of love, too. So if you feel like you want to go show him some love for coming out and speaking, that would be great as well. And also, real quick, I want to say that Stephen Greenstreet, in that interview, Mick West, like, they get along. They're fine. There's no issues, okay? They were very respectful to him. They were very nice to him. He was respectful. It was a great conversation. And I'm actually glad he did that, to be honest with you, if I'm being, fair. Like, that was cool that Michael went on there and spoke with them. And they had a, very respectful, professional conversation, right? Because people can disagree and still be respectful. So let's see how the comments are. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Remember, every day's a gift. Peace, Fetters.